to have Microvast. I mean, I think their success has spoken for themselves in terms of everything they're doing in the market, and we're been really waiting for this for a month. To focus on all the innovative companies, and Microvast is right there, front and center. We have a really big part of the team here. Shane Smith, President USA. Dr. Wenjuan, Mattis, Chief Technology Officer, Sascha, Kelterborn, Chief Revenue Officer, and Alan Pinto, partner of Inter Private Acquisition Corp. And really just spend a few minutes talking about the Microvast story, going through the deck, and then we'll do a Q&A. So you take it from there. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks to Dan and Samir and the team at Wedbush. I'm Alan Pinto. I'm a partner at Inter Private. Inter Private, as you may know, is a serial SPAC sponsor. We have 4 vehicles in the market right now. The Inter Private 1 was launched over a year ago with $250 million. And we had the great fortune of seeing an enormous flow of interesting transactions, particularly in great technology stories. We closed the transaction with Inter Private with a company called Ava in the LiDAR space. We thought they differentiated themselves in a space where a couple of other competitors had gone public or had announced mergers ahead of ours. But at the same time, we were looking at Microvast, and Microvast stood out to us as similarly a differentiated story versus some of its peers that had gone public through SPAC transactions ahead of them. And so we didn't want to let Microvast go as we were closing Ava. So we partnered with Stephen Vogel, who is a serial sponsor himself. He has a few vehicles in Tuscan Holdings. Tuscan was privy to what we were doing with Microvast, and we all agreed that it would be a shame to let it go just because we were doing Ava. So we ported the transaction over to Tuscan. Tuscan had about $280 million in trust. We launched the PIPE process with Morgan Stanley in January of this year. It was very, very well received. We actually had the good fortune of a large investor come to the company that wanted to invest $100 million in total and secure its position in the PIPE, and so provided a $50 million loan to the company as a private company, irrespective of whether the PIPE was going to proceed or not, because the company had some obligations. And so there was a great deal of enthusiasm in the market for it. We originally planned on a $200 to $250 million PIPE. We upsized it to $500 million. Which was also substantially oversubscribed. We had great investors like BlackRock and Oshkosh and a consortium of our family offices that wrote some of the largest checks. And now the company has $800 million of fresh capital to execute. And what we like about the story is that they've been in the market for nearly a decade. They've got 30,000 batteries on the road. Their energy density, cycle life, and charging time statistics are superior to what we've seen in the market. And as a clear differentiator, they're entirely vertically integrated from cell chemistries all the way to packs. And so in the spectrum of companies in their space that have gone public, we think they really stand out. And so we're excited about the future. We think they have the capital to execute now. The team is the right team. And I think as we'll get into the details of the commercial partnerships with some of the largest commercial vehicle players in the world, it's clear that the market's validated the offering. So we look forward to what's to come with them. And I'll pass it over to Shane, head of US and COO.
Thank you, Alan. Yeah, I really want to appreciate the audience for just coming and learn a little bit more about Microvast. Hopefully you are able to leave after a short, brief 4 or 5 slides plus answering questions, just a little bit more about us. We're an American lithium-ion battery company that was founded in 2006. And since then, we've developed over 500 patents, put over 28,000 vehicles on the road that have traveled 3.8 billion miles. So there's been a significant experience that have been built up over that time. And originally the company was focused on the China-Asia market, where the largest portion of the market was originally back a decade. Now, in the last 2 years, we've been shifting more to the Western markets, and our existing product portfolio has been really well received, both in Europe and in the US. And it's an exciting part of our story that we'd like to share with you. From a footprint point of view, we're headquartered in Houston, Texas. We have 1.7 million square feet of building space in Huzhou, China. where we manufacture cell, module, and packs. We're also vertically integrated. We make all the 4 key components of a battery cell: the anode, the cathode, the electrolyte, and the separator. And we think it's very key into delivering the high performance capabilities that our customers are seeing from us, especially for commercial vehicles, which I'll go into a little more detail in the next slide. We have 170,000 square feet of building space right outside of Berlin, Germany, for module and pack. And then we are in the process of converting an existing building in Clarksville, Tennessee, which is northwest Nashville, that will manufacture cell, module, and pack, and it's about 577,000 square feet. We're focused on 4 markets. You'll hear the theme commercial vehicle be used, that Bloomberg New Energy Finance also defines as a light, medium, heavy-duty truck, buses, trains, AGVs, mining trucks, and specialty vehicles. Our customers have found that the traditional passenger EV battery is not conducive for their application, where a commercial vehicle usually has a predefined route. It is usually an expensive asset that needs to last 10, 15 years and has to be rapidly charged. This is what we do so well in batteries. We also take this existing product portfolio that can be used for energy storage applications, especially high performance applications such as grid management or frequency regulation. We do ship to passenger vehicle applications today, for example, SAIC, but we also are engaging passenger OEMs that have made the announcement that they're going to make their own batteries with battery components. Our battery components are world-class. They're significantly differentiating that we use in our own products, and we're going to share that, that value with some key cell manufacturers in the passenger EV market. We're also doing that with consumer electronics, specifically our aramid separator and our full gradient cathode. For that, I will pass it on to Dr. Mattis to tell you a little bit more about that technical breadth.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Shen. It's very nice to meet you today. Wenjuan Mattis here, CTO of the company. Have been working on the development of lithium battery technology for over 16 years. I hold 22 papers and 81 patents. In Microvast, I'm responsible for the technology and the product development from R&D to mass production. So on this page, to tell you how we differentiate from all the other big players, summarized in these 3 columns. So in a BEV, the heart is the pack, and the power of the pack coming from the cell. And in the cell, its performance fundamentally depending on the battery materials. And Microvast have over 1 decade of designing and manufacturing expertise in battery components, from cathode material, anode, to electrolyte, to separator. So we gained an intimate knowledge of how those components interact with each other under specific conditions. And that differentiates us from most of other battery makers who source their components from the vendors. Also, it's important to note that the cell makers do not have the right to produce the material that they did not invent or have the license for. And the Microvast, on the other hand, we invented it and manufactured the key battery materials to ensure the unique performance, the leading performance in our cells, and also getting into the modules and the pack. And by making our own unique material that guarantees the performance, we also guaranteed the leading time, because of the material patents are the strongest patents. They are legally protected for decades, and our success is founded on our deep technology portfolio, which is fully owned and protected by over 550 patents and thousands of know-hows within the company. Amongst all the battery materials Microvast makes, 2 products stands out that no one else in the world has it. One is the 100% polyaramid separator. The other one is the full concentration gradient cathode material. So the polyaramid separator, that's the same material people use to make the bulletproof vest. And the other separator in the market made of polyethylene, polypropylene, that's the same material to make plastic bags, plastic bottles. So the polyaramid has dramatically improved the stability, the thermal stability, mechanical stability, the thermal and the electrochemical stability. By using that help us to improve the battery and the safety, and particularly for the high energy density cells. So one of the perks for the solid state battery is on-shrinking separator. And with aramid separator, we are there. So the other material, the full concentration gradient cathode material, this is also the very unique material made by Microvast. With this technology, we can tune the distribution of the transition metals across the particles. We can maximize the capacity, maintain the safety, and at the same time, minimize the cost and the risk by minimizing the cobalt content. So we have made the material that 20% higher capacity than the highest in the market, and also stays 10% lower in cost. And we currently have a production line that makes 600 tons per year, has been running for the past 3 years. So our strategy is to supply these materials to passenger car makers and consumer electronics. And this business strategy is clearly profit-oriented to ensure the fast ROI. The second differentiator is in the second column. So we have the full spectrum of lithium battery products. We have LTO, NMC, and LFP. So that, and each of them are the best in their own category. So that can show in the 2 pages ago. And that is validated by the market and by our customer through the business wins, and also the 28,000 vehicles that we have deployed that has been operating for over the last 10 years. And also with this full spectra that allows Microvast to access the applications of all industry. And this broadness makes us less vulnerable to the commercial successes of any single technology. So we focus on the commercial vehicles, as Shane mentioned, as our preferred choice with our limited capacity. But we also supply to the passenger vehicle, such as we currently supply to SAIC, Shanghai Motor, the largest OEM in China. And in this project, we competed with CATL, the largest cell maker in the world. We won by performance and by price. And this win also demonstrates that our production line that has been running for 10 years has a high quality control up to the stringent automobile standards. The last column is a vertical integration. To build the best, the highest performance battery, that's what driven Microvast into the vertical integration, just like Apple building the microprocessors. All of our products have the margin advantage enabled by the vertical integration, which also gives us the flexibility to work seamlessly with any customer. We can offer at the full system level, at the pack level, module level, cell level, and in the future, also in the component level. Yeah, so with that, I pass it to Sascha for him to tell you more about our commercial successes.
Thanks, Wenjuan. So I have to underline a very important topic, and that this is the vertical integration, as Dr. Mattis already mentioned. This is one of our key successes in our success story, winning customers. One other topic is that we have a variety of chemistries, all the way from hybrid applications to fuel cell battery applications, and later on to solid state applications. So the customer, at the end of the day, our end customer can pick from various chemistries which others cannot offer. Very important here to mention are a couple customers, just to underline our business story in total. One is FPT, which is the powertrain brand of CNHI. We have a long-term industrial and commercial cooperation agreement with them. So what did we do? We developed for them a whole battery pack solution, which fits perfectly between the beams of a classical combustion light commercial vehicle application, as an example. So at the end, we are delivering the models. The battery pack itself will be produced in Turin. The model will be integrated in Turin, and so a classical automotive marriage, and then sold to CNHI industrial vehicles as well as third-party customers. So means FPT is delivering the powertrain, Microvast is delivering the battery, and this gives a full electric platform concept solution. This is one of the topics. ZF, same thing. You see it in the background of the slide. This is a Peterbilt truck. It's a ZF truck at the end of the day. So Microvast is delivering the battery. ZF is delivering the electric motors as well as the powertrain, and this gives a full electric platform. And ZF is promoting that since they believe fully in our battery technology with a Microvast logo on the side. This is very seldom done in case you talk about the second biggest tier 1 supplier in the world. Same thing with Dana, next powertrain supplier. You see the concept of our business plan is building up electric platform concepts. So with Dana, we are a strategic supplier. So same thing, Dana is delivering the powertrain, we are delivering the battery. At the end, it's integrated in any kind of electric platform concepts of any kind of OEM. So with Oshkosh, very important to mention, strategic investor in our pipe. We have couple ongoing electrification projects. So this means we are developing the platform concept with Oshkosh jointly together in order to electrify various different projects with them. So as Dr. Mattis already mentioned, SAIC, Shanghai Motors, we already mentioned that case. Another one is Cargotec. I want to give you a quick deep dive. Cargotec is a 24-hour, 7-day operation, very heavy duty applications in the harbor business. So all these various of chemistries Microvast is offering, and this gives us a very solid business plan, especially dedicated to commercial vehicle applications. And even as you have heard that Volkswagen is, as an example, doing their cells on their own to 80%, we still can deliver, and this is very important to show the concept of our business plan. We can still deliver components to them, and so Microvast has the ability, even if the OEMs more and more going into the direction that they will do their own models, their own packs, their own models, and perhaps even their own cells, we can still supply components to them. So we have the ability to supply components. We do our own cells. This was already a question I have seen in our question and answer request. We do our models and we do packs, so we can offer to the OEMs, to our final customers, and to our tier 1 suppliers all solutions. And I will pass it on to Shane to give you a more deep dive quickly in our whole business plan.
Yeah, so Dan, I'll pass it on to you. Those are the questions for open for questions. Those are what we
great.
Just to kind of give an introduction.
No, that was that was an awesome overview. Thank you to everyone. So maybe I'll start with the doctor, and then then everyone else can handle it. When it comes to battery technology, I feel like in the EV market, there's a lot of noise, and I think in many ways, not appreciating the vertical integration from end to end of everything that Microvast does. Can you just hit on, compare and contrast why that's so important from a scale and just from an overall battery technology? And then you can talk about go to market, but I just want to start with the doctor.
Yeah, sure. So the vertical integration that offers us so much advantages in terms of the development, because we do work from the materials all the way to the pack. So that shortens the development time. For example, if we've been the sourcing from other vendors, and we found that this cathode material need to be tailored, and then that you need to reflect it to the supplier, and they will do it to probably get it back to you in 3 months or 6 months. But internally, we can do it immediately. and quickly have it tested in the small cell and from the lab, and even all the way up to the pilot line that makes thousands of cells per day, and to the production line makes tens of thousands of cells or hundreds of cells per day. So that shortens the development time, and we fully understand the quality control point of view. From R&D, we have implemented those key parameters, not one value, but a range that can give us the best results and with the minimize the cost. And also we can get the process parameters ready. And then with that level of manipulation that give us the very fine tune of meeting the customer's requirements. So someone particularly wanted a higher power performance, for example, we can do it. Someone wants better high temperature or low temperature performance, we can do it because we have this electrolyte technology. And then with the capabilities of designing the module and the pack to fit in their requirements, comparing with the ones only does the material and only does the cells, also offers about 2 years leading time for our customers getting into the market. Another advantage is at the BMS. So have a BMS to control this battery pack. It's essential for the BMS to understand at the chemistry level. So how the cell would perform at a different state of charge, at a different temperature, responding to different power. And what to do while the power is went offline and the temperature is at the warning stage, how to control that. And then also use that to predict the state of health, state of power, state of charge, all those parameters coming from the deep understanding in the cell level as early as in the R&D in the lab. And we have been testing the cell, the module, the pack extensively with that type of data collected that can help us to monitor performance, perfect the performance, to further increase the cycle life and also the power throughput of our product to the customer end.
And Shane and Sascha, can you just talk about go-to-market? Because obviously the technology is just clearly differentiated. You've built a pretty massive backlog. Just talk about that from an end user, from an end customer perspective. Like, what are the puts and takes?
Dan, if I jump in quickly before I pass it on to Shane, I think it's very important we have a massive technology in our background. It's something what is really proven because we have technology in the market since foundation, and it's not just laboratory data. It's real data from testing vehicles, from operational vehicles, and this is very important. And the big topic here is that our technology is a perfect fit to commercial vehicle applications, especially when you take into account a total cost of ownership calculations. This means you have an asset which is long lasting, you know, especially in a light commercial vehicle, this vehicle, or in a medium commercial vehicle, or in a heavy duty vehicle. These vehicles are running are calculated on 12 years, on 15 years, up to 20 years. And you don't want to have a lot of battery changes, but you want to have a high performance. And through our technology, high cycle life performance, a high energy performance, and at the same time a high safety performance, we can meet that market demands. And that's the variation towards the other ones. I mean, towards our competitors. At the end, most of the people are focusing on the mass market, on the automotive mass market. So there's a set standard which the OEMs require, but they already realized that for commercial vehicle applications, they need to set a different standard. And you see the split off from Volkswagen into Traton Group. Traton is now the binding group for all commercial vehicles of Volkswagen. It's the same thing Daimler does. Daimler is splitting off Daimler Truck and Buses as an example, because they know that they need a different chemistry compared to the classical mass market. And this is our niche market. This niche market is huge. It's more than $50 billion. And there, this chemistry which we developed over the over the last years, this fits perfectly to that application. And it would be over-engineered. And I said that as a German, it would be over-engineered for classical mass market automotive application at that time of the point, at this stage. Long run, I think this is also something for the automotive market. But there, in that moment, we will use our components, selling them to the OEMs directly, not to our competitors, and giving them the advantages, the added values of proven added values to use in their battery cell manufacturing.
I think that answered it pretty well, Dan. I agree with everything he said.
Yeah. It's hard to follow that. No, that was great. So when we think about like backlog, EV markets exploding, you got passenger commercial. Like, what is there? Do you have to make sure that you go after the right markets? Don't spread yourself too thin. Is it also just, obviously you've raised capital, just continuing to scale and meet the backlog? I mean, so Shane, maybe you can just hit on, it's, to some extent, these are good things to have, but just talk about maybe some of the constraints or just, challenges in terms of meeting the scale.
Honestly, it's the most exciting part of Microvast in the story of where we are today. It's nice to be able to have great acceptance of an existing existing product line that's already in production today, and our customers are just like, hey, I want it. I want to put it in it. And so having that unique opportunity, it's taking the capital we just raised that Alan alluded to at the beginning and building capacity. So that's what we're doing. Our story is about, we've got great acceptance of our products. Let's rapidly expand our capacity. And at the rate we're winning, that capacity expansion could go on for years. And so it's just exciting. That's what's fun. That's what makes business enjoyable. When you've got great technology, proven products, and customer demand.
And also, to your point, like when you have, without naming, specific, but like when you have some of the biggest OEMs in the world going fully EV or mostly EV, they're getting the batteries from somewhere. So it just, right? I mean, and I guess it's just, has it surprised you what we've seen the last, call it 6 months? I mean, obviously, like everyone's talking EV, and you've had massive innovators, especially in China and parts of Europe and the US, but feels like it's just green tidal wave exploded.
The Western story is what surprised me. We always knew that it was on the horizon, and maybe it was there. And I think there was even speculation at one point that, all these announcements of battery capacity, we're going to have too much capacity. Is there really going to be a market? On and on and on. And there's been this mixture of the story of all that planned capacity really didn't necessarily happen. It was like it was told but not executed on. So that's one part of the story, making the demand, at least put in the capacity story, much lower than maybe what was called for a year ago. And then the Western market, Europe's been moving. I think the United States is the new story, right? It's where, hey, United States is not going to sit there and say, we don't care about electrification. And it's not, and it may be for different regions. What I'm excited about regarding electrification is it just financially makes sense. And if it financially makes sense, the market's really going to move. We don't need, I know it's so frequently talked about, we need subsidies, we need this to happen for government. I just don't believe that to be the case. Does it help? Does it create it does it put it more in the forefront than what we talk about? Sure. But in the financial total cost of ownership that Sascha was alluding to earlier, it financially makes sense for a battery to be put on a commercial vehicle and operate accordingly. It just saves money. And that's why the market will move, and it will move really quickly.
But also note that, again, especially in the U.S., what we've, last week with Biden, 174 billion. I mean, that's also accelerates the catalyst, right?
Sure.
From your perspective.
Sure. I mean, there's 600. I mean, there were the announcement 645,000 vehicles are going to be electrified that are federally owned, right? Without question, that's a huge catalyst. But the government alone can't make something be sustainable and make sense. It can be a catalyst for kick it off.
But the subsidies and the tax credit.
through stuff like that. And when you talk about passenger EV and charging stations, but when you talk about commercial vehicles, we're talking about a well-defined area. Charging stations of getting that done is very, very attainable, right? You don't have to have it all down I-10 from east to west. It's usually a well-defined area. It has depots, there are fleets. They have fleet management applications already. You're just putting charging stations where those trucks are, and you're off and running.
And just, I know we're coming on our time, but like, have things changed in terms of maybe, from a go-to-market, you're pushing, customers are like, okay, not yet. Maybe we'll do baby steps. Then all of a sudden, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, you're getting that call at 1 a.m. Okay, what we thought we needed, it's actually 15x. In other words, but to that type of, is that happening more and more, like the push versus the pull?
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely getting more phone calls. We're definitely having more conversations. I don't know about the 15x part of the story.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that type of scale.
Let's put it this way, then. What helps a lot, and I mean, the main focus markets are for us Europe and US. And US is extremely coming thanks to Mr. Biden. Yeah, no question about that, because it's pushing the whole topic. But also in Europe, I mean, you have the Paris Agreement. You have the signature of all OEMs, commercial vehicle OEMs. Last year signed off by 2040, no fossil fuel anymore in Europe. So this means all these kind of topics are pushing ahead. So it's just helpful for us. And the next movement was, we need more money to create our facility, our production facility in the US market, because we need to have 3 production facilities, one in China, one in Europe, as well as one in the US, in order to do all the global tenders, because the platform at the end will be the same one if you use it in Europe or if you use it in the US.
Sure.
But you need to be capable of delivering the same product in a high-end quality to the OEMs. And all the supporting topics from the US as well as from Europe help us to grow. And the big advantage for us is that we are in the market already for long term. We have proven technologies, and we have won in 2019, and Dr. Mattis and her team won in 2019 the R&D 100 award, which is a key topic in that topic. So we are leading the technology in that context, but especially for commercial vehicle applications. So, and this, coming back to my total cost of ownership calculation, it helps a lot, especially on fleet customer basis. And this is very important, because we are not only talking about light commercial, we are talking about construction equipment, all that kind of topic, and we help to be more sustainable in a long run on a global scale. And I think this is a clear message which we are fulfilling.
Well, thank you so much for the team to join in. Congrats on all the success, and you made the EV day that much more special coming on. Given all the success you're having in disrupting the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.